Where were you? Where were you the moment everything changed? Where were you? Where were you when the life you knew was never the same again? You don't have to answer that out loud. I just want you to take a minute and think about that. Where were you? So maybe it was a phone call, or maybe it was while you were sitting in a doctor's office. Maybe it was hearing words that you never imagined that you would ever hear. Maybe it was the moment somebody walked out the door. Maybe it was the moment of the day, someone you loved took their very last breath. But maybe it wasn't one single moment at all. Maybe for some, it was a slow unraveling. But for most of us, there's a moment, the before, and then there's the after. Um, so I've been thinking a lot about grief lately. And it's not always an easy subject to talk about. Um, but it's something we'll all experience in one form or another. But yet, when it happens, many of us don't know what to do with it. I mean, we try to move past it, we try to hide it, we can try to ignore it, um, we can try to explain it, and we can even try to fix it. And we can even try convincing ourselves that, we should be past it. We should be over it by now. But God, He never asks us to pretend that loss doesn't hurt. He never asks us to pretend that we don't feel it. Um, so when we hear the word grief, I know a lot of times we immediately think of, losing someone that we love. And that is grief. But there's a lot of other forms of grief as well that I think sometimes we overlook and we miss, because grief, it's our response to, to loss. And it can come from, losing a loved one, a relationship ending, um, a change in health, loss of a dream, um, loss of a job, a friendship, um, a season of life, um, or how about a future you thought you were going to have, because sometimes we're not just grieving what has happened, but sometimes the grief comes in grieving what never got the chance to happen. Um, and when we look at scripture, the Bible doesn't ignore grief. In scripture, it's described as, a deep sorrow, a mourning, anguish, like a deep aching of the heart. And grief, it isn't weakness. We don't have to pretend that things don't hurt. It's a natural response to loving something that truly mattered to you. Um, Going back to scripture, the Bible is full of people grieving. Um, you have David grieved. You have Jeremiah, he grieved. Naomi, she grieved. Job grieved. And Jesus, even Jesus grieved. You know, when he stood knowing that Lazarus had just died, but and even though he knew he was about to raise him from the dead, he still wept. Um, he didn't rush past the sorrow. Instead, he entered into it. Um, and that shows us that God, he isn't afraid of our grief. And not only that, he meets us in it. Like, he steps right into it with us. Um, so if we go back to the opening question, where we started with the where were you? Can you picture that moment? Can you picture it? You know, where you were, um, who was with you, um, you know, how you felt, um, what was going on around you. Um, did every did time just seem to stop, and did it seem to stand still, or did everything suddenly become like really loud, or did everything suddenly become really quiet? Uh, See, those details, they have a way of staying with us, like marking that that moment in time. And it marks it because at that point something really significant happened. Um, so maybe today, instead of trying to rush forward, knowledge what changed, you know, and invite God into it, not so you can stay there and stuck, but invite Him in so you don't have to carry it alone anymore. Because sometimes the healing that we need, it begins with one honest question and one honest answer, where we say, God, this moment right here, this is where everything changed. And then instead of running from that moment and running from the feelings and the emotions, we instead invite Jesus to meet us right there, right where we're at. So as we continue this series, we're gonna talk about grief. Honestly, we're gonna see what Scripture has to say, and we're gonna talk about loss in all its different forms, like because loss occurs in many different ways. We're gonna talk about lament. We're gonna talk about hope, and we're gonna talk about healing and about what it means to walk forward with God, not pretending that the pain never existed or it didn't happen, but because God never left us in it. But for today, I don't want to rush ahead and get. I just want us to take a moment and simply recognize the place where your story changed. So think about that. Um, and as you're remembering the moment when your story changed, I want you to remember something else. Just remember that God remembers that moment too. He was there, He was right there with you, and He saw every tear, He heard every prayer, and didn't walk away. He ran towards you, and He has never stopped walking with you. So take a moment with Him and be honest. Tell Him how you feel, because He already knows. Invite Him into that memory, that moment, the place of deep hurt, and let Him help you. Let Him hold you. Remember, He's with you, and He's for you, and He loves you.